Eating disorders are a range of conditions expressed through abnormal or disturbed eating patterns. They affect people physically, psychologically, and socially, and can have life-threatening consequences. In this video, we're looking at what causes eating disorders and 3 of the most common types. Individuals with eating disorders can have a variety of symptoms. However, most include the severe restriction of food, food binges, or inappropriate purging behaviors like vomiting or over-exercising. Now, although eating disorders can affect people of any gender at any life stage, they're most often reported in adolescents and young women. In fact, as much as 13% of youth may experience at least one eating disorder by the age of 20. So what causes eating disorders exactly? Well, experts believe they're actually caused by a variety of factors. One of these is genetics. Twin and adoption studies, which look at twins who were separated at birth and adopted by different families, provide some evidence that eating disorders may be hereditary. This type of research has generally shown that if one twin develops an eating disorder, the second has a 50% likelihood of developing one too, on average. Personality traits are another cause. In particular, neuroticism, perfectionism, and impulsivity are 3 personality traits often linked to higher risk of developing an eating disorder. Other potential causes are perceived pressures to be thin, cultural preferences for thinness, and exposure to media that is promoting such ideals. Interestingly, certain eating disorders appear to be mostly non-existent in cultures that haven't been exposed to Western ideals of thinness. So it's likely that a mix of factors is to blame. Now, the first and most well-known eating disorder is anorexia nervosa. People with anorexia nervosa generally view themselves as overweight, even if they're dangerously underweight. They tend to constantly monitor their weight, avoid eating certain types of foods, and severely restrict their calories. They may also have difficulty eating in public and have a strong desire to control their environment. Anorexia nervosa is officially categorized into 2 subtypes, the restricting type and the binge eating and purging type. Individuals with the restricting type lose weight solely through dieting, fasting, or excessive exercise. Individuals with the binge eating or purging type may binge on excessive amounts of food or eat very little. In both cases, after they eat, they purge using activities like vomiting, taking laxatives or diuretics, or exercising excessively. As you might expect, anorexia nervosa can be very damaging to the body. Over time, individuals living with it may experience the thinning of their bones, infertility, brittle hair and nails, and the growth of a layer of fine hair all over their body. In severe cases, anorexia can result in heart, brain, or multi-organ failure and death. Number 2, bulimia nervosa. People with bulimia nervosa frequently eat unusually large amounts of food in a relatively short time frame. Each binge eating episode usually continues until the person becomes painfully full. Additionally, during a binge, the person usually feels that they cannot stop eating or control how much they are eating. Binges can happen with any type of food, but most commonly occur with foods the individual would normally avoid. Now, individuals with bulimia then attempt to purge to compensate for the calories consumed and relieve gut discomfort. Common purging behaviors include forced vomiting, fasting, laxatives, diuretics, enemas, and excessive exercise. Symptoms may appear very similar to the binge eating or purging subtypes of anorexia nervosa. However, individuals with bulimia usually maintain a relatively normal weight as opposed to being very underweight. Number 3, binge eating disorder. But it is currently believed to be one of the most common eating disorders, particularly in the US. Individuals with this disorder have similar symptoms to those with bulimia or the binge eating subtype of anorexia. For instance, they typically eat unusually large amounts of food in relatively short periods of time and usually feel a lack of control during binges. However, contrary to the 2 previous disorders, people with binge eating disorder do not restrict calories or use purging behaviors such as vomiting or excessive exercise to compensate for their binges. Common symptoms of binge eating disorder include eating large amounts of food rapidly in secret and until uncomfortably full despite not feeling hungry, feeling a lack of control during episodes of binge eating, feelings of distress such as shame, disgust, or guilt when thinking about the binge eating behavior, and no use of purging behaviors such as calorie restriction, vomiting, excessive exercise, or laxatives to compensate for the binging. Additionally, people with binge eating disorder are usually overweight or obese, and this of course adds to further complications, increasing their risk of certain disease states like heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. As you can see, eating disorders are mental disorders, and they're not something that someone consciously chooses to take part in. If you have an eating disorder or know someone who does, please seek help from a healthcare practitioner who specializes in eating disorders. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you found it informative, and don't forget to subscribe to Healthline's Authority Nutrition YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button below this video.